All right, let's start with the big story that we're tracking this hour, where Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe has defied expectations of his announcement to quit as the president of Zimbabwe, pledging to preside over a ZANU-PF Congress next month, even though the ruling party has removed him as its leader. As president less than 24 hours after their meeting yesterday to quit as the head of the state or face impeachment proceedings. An attempt to secure a peaceful end to his tenure after a de facto coup. However, in his address, Robert Mugabe said that he acknowledges criticism against him from his party members, the military and also the public. However, he did not comment on the possibility of standing down as is being demanded of him.
Whatever the pros and cons of the way they went about registering those concerns, I, as the President of Zimbabwe and as their Commander-in-Chief, do acknowledge the issues they have drawn my attention to, and do believe that these were raised in the spirit of honesty and out of deep and patriotic concern for the stability of our nation. The Congress is due in a few weeks from now. I will preside over its processes, which must not be prepossessed by any acts calculated to undermine it or to compromise the outcomes in the eyes of the public.
So this was Robert Mugabe's speech at a time when impeachment proceedings are being threatened against him, which has left Zimbabweans baffled and even frustrated as they waited for Mugabe to actually announce his resignation.
We were expecting to hear the president say, "I've heard your concerns yesterday and I'm ready to step down." This is not what we're expecting, to hear a long speech without any results for us. The results were simple. I am stepping down. I am handing over the country to someone else.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's War Veterans Association has called for further protests after Mugabe has defied expectations that he would resign. Now, Zimbabwe's political crisis just got worse. The ruling parties, the ZANU-PF, has expelled Robert Mugabe and also his wife, Grace Mugabe. The party says that Mugabe must resign as the country's president by noon on Monday, else the impeachment proceedings will be initiated. Here's more on this story.
Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, has expelled President Robert Mugabe. His wife Grace, who hoped to replace him, has also been shown the door. The former vice president, Emerson Mnangagwa, who Mugabe sacked just 2 weeks ago, is now the party's new chief. It was his unceremonious dismissal that precipitated the crisis.
Our people, colleagues, are demanding from us gathered here to show leadership and give effect to their demands for the recall of President and First Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, from his position in the party and government.
The pressure on Mugabe to move out was building ever since the military carried out a de facto coup earlier this week. Reports suggest that Mr. Mugabe was negotiating a graceful exit with the army's top leadership. On Sunday, though, it was clear that the time was running out for the president. Protesters took to the streets in the thousands demanding his resignation. And then the leader of Zimbabwe's war veterans sounded a warning to Mugabe. Get on with it or else.
They've been having their negotiations for a week. He better give in to them now. If he doesn't, we take over from where the defense forces left.
Mugabe's fall from grace is likely to reverberate across Africa. From Uganda's Yoweri Museveni to Congo's Joseph Kabila, the continent is home to an array of strong men whose terms run into decades. In Zimbabwe itself, Questions remain on Mr. Mugabe's fate following his expulsion, and that of his wife Grace, who hasn't been seen since the military takeover. Bureau Report, WION.